The Christmas Tree That Breathes. Thomas Karlsson gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white beneath the skin. December 23rd, 6 in the evening, and they still had no tree. Anna sat silent in the passenger seat, staring out the window where snow transformed the world into a blurred watercolor. In the back, Sophia listened to music through her headphones, walled off from her parents by an invisible barrier. The E4 highway stretched through forest where pines stood as black silhouettes against the gray sky. Thomas was driving toward town, where they promised the last trees at reasonable prices. But near a turnoff, he saw something unusual. A roadside stand. Just there. In the middle of nowhere. A dozen Christmas trees leaning against an old van. A string of yellow lights barely flickering in the dusk. And a figure in a gray coat, motionless, like part of the landscape. "Stop," Anna said quietly. Thomas flinched, she barely spoke these days. He pressed the brake. The car pulled onto the shoulder, tires crunching through snow. Sophia removed one earbud. "Here." She grimaced. "Looks like something from a horror movie." Thomas got out first. Cold air stung his face, and fog crept between the trees, wrapping everything in soft grayness. The stand seemed not quite real, like a set piece placed there just for them. The seller stood by the van. Face shadowed beneath a hood, hands in pockets. He didn't move, didn't greet them, didn't smile. Just waited. Thomas felt something tighten in his chest, but he ignored the feeling. They needed a tree. Everything else was details. Anna and Sophia followed Thomas. The trees stood in neat rows, their branches covered with frost that gleamed in the light. Each tree was perfect, symmetrical, full, without a single flaw. Too perfect. "How much?" Thomas asked, addressing the seller. The man finally moved. Slowly, as if through thick water. He extended his hand and pointed to a price tag attached to the van. 100 kronor for any size tree. Thomas blinked. It was absurdly cheap. In town they'd ask 500 for a tree like this, maybe more. 100? He couldn't hide his surprise. For any of them? The seller nodded. Once. Slowly. Sophia wandered among the trees, touching the needles with her fingertips. "They're cold," she said. "Like they came from a freezer." "They've just been outside a long time," Thomas replied, though he felt something wrong himself. The air here was thicker, heavier. Fog wrapped around the trees like something living. Anna stood apart, hugging her shoulders. "Thomas, maybe we should keep going." Her voice was quiet, uncertain. "Why?" "The price is great, the trees are beautiful." He'd already chosen, a tall tree with dense branches that smelled of pine and something else. Something ancient. "I don't know." Anna didn't finish. She always did that lately, left thoughts incomplete. Thomas approached the seller. "We'll take this one," he pointed to his chosen tree. The man nodded again. He walked to the tree, lifted it easily with one hand as if it weighed nothing, and carried it to Thomas's car. His movements were mechanical, smooth, stripped of unnecessary gestures. They tied the tree to the roof. Thomas pulled out his wallet, counted out 5 20s. The seller took the money, looked at it, then placed it back on the van's counter. "You don't want it?" Thomas was puzzled. The seller didn't answer. He simply turned and walked into the fog between the trees. His figure dissolved in seconds, as if he'd never been there at all. "That was weird," Sophia muttered, getting into the car. Thomas took the money back. Maybe the old man was just eccentric. Or didn't hear. Didn't matter. A free Christmas tree, that's a gift from fate, right? They drove away. In the rearview mirror, Thomas watched the stand disappear into fog. The yellow lights went out one by one. At home, when they brought the tree inside and set it up in the corner of the living room, Thomas felt relief. Done. Now there would be celebration. Finally something would go right. Sophia circled the tree, examining it from all sides. "It doesn't smell like normal trees," she said. "You notice?" "Like earth. Old earth." Anna was already climbing the stairs to the bedroom, not looking back. Thomas wanted to argue, but Sophia was right. The smell was different. Not unpleasant, but wrong. That night he couldn't sleep. Thomas woke at 3 in the morning to a sound. Cracking. Not sharp, but slow, rhythmic, like someone slowly breaking branches. He lay in darkness, listening. Anna slept beside him, turned toward the wall. The sound came from below. From the living room. He descended the stairs, trying not to make noise. A faint smell of pine drifted down the hallway, only now it was more intense, almost suffocating. Thomas entered the living room and froze. The tree stood in the corner, but something about it had changed. The branches seemed to have spread, grown wider, as if the tree was stretching through space. The cracking came from inside the trunk, dull, organic. Like breathing. Thomas turned on the light. Everything looked normal. An ordinary tree. He stepped closer, touched the trunk. The bark was warm. Impossible. The tree was dead. It couldn't be warm. He jerked his hand back and saw something at the base of the tree. A box. Small, wrapped in silver paper that shimmered in the lamplight. On it lay a white card with writing in black ink. Eric Lundqvist. Thomas knew that name. Their neighbor from the house across the street. A middle-aged man who always waved but never stopped to talk. Someone had broken into the house. Someone had placed this box. Thomas quickly checked the doors, windows, everything locked. The alarm hadn't triggered. He picked up the box. It was cold, heavier than it looked. He didn't open it. Put it on the table and went back to bed, convincing himself it was a prank. Maybe Sophia. Teenagers love this kind of thing. In the morning, Anna found the box. "What's this?" she asked at breakfast. "I don't know. Someone must have put it there last night." Someone? Anna looked at him like he was losing his mind. Who? Sophia took the box, shook it. Something slid inside. Why does it have Eric's name on it? Sophia, was this you? Thomas tried to sound calm. His daughter looked at him, offended. Me? Why would I do something like that? They didn't open the box. Thomas hid it in a closet and tried to forget. The next morning they were woken by sirens. Police cars on the street across from them. Thomas went out on the porch in his robe. Neighbors gathered in clusters, whispering, pointing at Eric's house. What happened? Thomas asked a woman from the second floor. They found Eric dead. Heart attack, they say. Just like that, during the night. He was only 50. Thomas felt cold spreading down his spine. He returned to the house, walked to the closet, pulled out the box. The card was still there. Eric Lundqvist. It's a coincidence, he said aloud, but his voice trembled. Anna stood in the doorway. Her face was pale. Thomas, what's in the box? He slowly unwrapped the paper. Inside lay a small object wrapped in black cloth. Thomas unwrapped it. A figurine. Wooden, carved roughly, almost primitively. A man with outstretched arms and a gaping mouth. On the back of the figurine was carved a date, December 24th. Yesterday. Oh God, Anna whispered. That night there was cracking again. Sophia woke first. She descended to the living room, hiding in shadows, and saw a new box appear beneath the tree. It simply materialized from air, as if someone invisible carefully placed it on the floor. The girl stepped closer. The card bore a new name. Lisa Anderson. Sophia knew Lisa. English teacher at her school. A woman with a cheerful laugh and bright scarves. The girl stepped back. The tree moved, not from wind, because there was no wind. The branches slowly swayed, as if the tree was inhaling and exhaling. From deep inside the trunk came a quiet whisper. Sophia couldn't make out words, but she understood the meaning. Someone was coming. Someone was coming for souls. And the tree was the bridge. She ran to her parents. Thomas listened to his daughter and tried not to believe. But the box was there, on the floor beneath the tree, real and cold. Lisa Anderson's name stood black on the white card. We have to warn her, Sophia said, her voice shaking. Call her, tell her to run, go somewhere. And say what? Thomas ran a hand over his face. That our Christmas tree predicts death. Anna stood by the window, staring into darkness. We have to get rid of the tree. Burn it. Throw it out. Thomas tried. He took an axe from the garage, approached the tree and swung. The blade bounced off the trunk as if from stone, leaving only a scratch. He struck again and again, but the tree wouldn't yield. The bark wouldn't crack, the wood wouldn't split. God, what is this thing? He threw down the axe. They tried to carry the tree out of the house. Sophia pulled at the top, Thomas pushed the trunk, but the tree wouldn't move. It stood as if rooted to the floor, as if part of the house itself. Anna cried quietly in the corner. It's because of me, she whispered. This is punishment. What are you talking about? Thomas went to her. 2 years ago. When I lost the baby. Anna raised her eyes to him, red from tears. I prayed. Prayed to anything that could hear. Said I'd give anything just to have another chance. Maybe something heard. Thomas held her, but his wife's words left cold in his soul. Deals with the unknown always have a price. The next day, news reported on Lisa Anderson. Car accident on a slick road. Instant death. Thomas opened the box with her name, inside was the same wooden figurine. A woman with a twisted neck. Date on the back, December 25th. Today. How many more will there be? Sophia whispered. Thomas didn't know the answer. But that night a third box appeared. Then a fourth. A fifth. Each night brought a new name. Thomas's colleagues. Distant relatives. People they barely knew. The deaths were different, heart attacks, accidents, sudden illness. But they all happened exactly on the dates carved into the figurines. The Karlsson family stopped sleeping. They took turns watching the tree, trying to prevent new boxes from appearing, but it didn't help. The gifts appeared regardless of who was watching. One moment they weren't there, the next they were. Thomas called those whose names appeared, warned them, begged them to be careful. Some laughed. Others hung up. One man even threatened to sue for harassment. They all died. Each on their appointed day. By December 30th, 19 boxes lay beneath the tree. 19 names. 19 dead. And at midnight, as the old year flowed into the new, the final box appeared. The largest of all. Silver paper shimmered in darkness, and on the card were written 3 names. Thomas Karlsson. Anna Karlsson. Sophia Karlsson. All 3 stood and stared at the box, not daring to touch it. Thomas took the box with trembling hands. It was heavy, much heavier than the previous ones. He slowly unwrapped the paper. Inside lay 3 figurines, man, woman, child. All 3 embraced, melded together into one composition. On the back was no date. What does this mean? Sophia whispered. Anna took the figurine, turned it in her hands. No date. Why is there no date? The tree cracked louder than ever. Branches spread even wider, touching the walls. The smell of earth and rot filled the room. And for the first time, they heard a voice. Not in words. Not in sounds. It was a feeling that rolled through their consciousness like a dark wave. Choice. Thomas understood instantly. He looked at his wife, at his daughter. It's a trap. From the beginning. The stand, the cellar, all of it, a trap. But for what? Anna held Sophia close. For souls. Thomas approached the tree. It's been feeding. Each death made it stronger. And now it wants us. Forever. Sophia stared at the tree, and suddenly something clicked in her head. The seller didn't take the money, she said. He left it. Because the deal wasn't about money. Then what? Anna asked. About choice. We chose the tree. We brought it home. We invited it in. Sophia walked to the tree. And now it's giving us one final choice. As if in response, the branches parted, revealing the trunk. A crack appeared in the bark, widening, transforming into an opening. Black, bottomless, from which came the cold of the grave. And they understood. Someone had to enter. Someone had to take the place of all those souls the tree had claimed. One instead of 19, a deal the darkness was willing to accept. Thomas stepped forward. Me. No, Anna grabbed his hand. No, we'll find another way. But there was no other way. They knew it. Felt it in their bones, in the deepest corners of their souls. The tree wouldn't release them just like that. It had rooted itself not only in the house but in their fates. Thomas looked at his wife, then at his daughter. He thought about all the years spent on autopilot. About lost time. About words never said. Now, in this final moment, he finally felt alive. I love you, he said. Remember that. And he stepped into the opening in the trunk. Anna screamed, lunged forward, but it was too late. The darkness inside the tree swallowed Thomas in a second. The opening closed, the bark grew together, as if it had never been there. Silence. The tree went still. No more cracking, no more breathing. Needles began to fall, slowly, one by one. The tree withered before their eyes, transforming into a dry, gray shadow of itself. Sophia picked up the figurine from the floor. The man had separated from the woman and child. Now there were 3 separate figurines, and on the back of the man's was carved an inscription. Forever. When dawn peered through the windows, the tree crumbled to dust. Simply collapsed and turned into a pile of ash, though there had been no fire. The boxes vanished. The figurines vanished. Only the smell of old earth remained, slowly dissipating. Anna and Sophia stood among the ashes, holding each other. That morning, police found the remains of an old van near the E4 highway. It had been standing there for years, neglected and empty. No trace of any stand. No Christmas trees. Locals said they'd never seen anything like that there. Thomas was officially declared missing. After a month, then a year. Anna and Sophia never told the truth. Who would believe them? But sometimes, on cold winter nights when wind howls outside the windows, Sophia hears distant cracking. Like someone breathing somewhere in the darkness. Like a root that grew through worlds, still living and waiting. And she knows, the stand will appear again. For someone else. In another place. By another road. Because some deals never end.